A month after our last win in the Premier League, we are back. I'm laughing because we've actually won. It's not really that funny, but we can enjoy this, Graham. It's been a while. Arsenal have had 3 defeats on the bounce going into this game, and then a trip to Dubai, which looks like it's paid off. We'll break it all down, but it's great to have you back. It's great to be talking about a win. It's great to be talking about Arsenal doing the complete opposite of what they were doing before, which was, couldn't hit a barn door, the amount of chances we had, but scoring 5 without even being at our best. So lots to break down here.
Yeah, good afternoon, James. Yeah, is the mid-season Arsenal wobble finally over? An emphatic 5-0 win over a toothless Crystal Palace team on Saturday lifted the gloom around the club. It was much needed, and pushed Arsenal back to 3rd place in the Premier League on Saturday. We're going to talk about today about whether it was as good on the eye and the stats as the results suggested. I know we're going to talk about open play, but ultimately it's just important for the confidence and the momentum to get a winning performance together, and the boys did that on Saturday.
Yeah, completely agree. We start as always with the match stats, and Palace had 12 shots. I don't know where they were, but fair enough, they had 12. We had 21, 6 on target, a lot more of the ball, many more passes, and a good XG of 3.84 to their 0.35, which is good as well. Of course, we outdid them for attacking stats. That includes the final third entry, should I say, 55 deep touches, 14 zone 14 touches, and a very good field tilt, which some people don't take too seriously, but that's fair enough. And the defensive stats, interesting that their passes per defensive action were 24.4, when actually it felt like, as we were kind of talking about before, they did try press us a little bit, Palace. We'll talk about the shapes and how we dealt with all that, but that's just an interesting stat because they both tried to press us, tried to disrupt our build-up, but would get into a deep shape as well when we did enter the final third, and that threw up some question marks, but generally we've come out on top of all those stats as well.
Yeah, it's interesting because I thought Arsenal would have prepared for Crystal Palace playing with a back 4 on Saturday, but they came with like a 5-4-1 mid to high block, and they did press us high, which surprised me, and we did have 1 or 2 issues playing out around their press in that first half, but ultimately, as you're going to display today, we did manage to play around their press and get into some very good attacking positions, particularly down our left-hand side, James, which I thought, and that was a big change, wasn't it? Because in terms of personnel, big decision to leave out Martinelli to play Trossard. Trossard come in, I thought took his chance. Then Martinelli came off the bench late and scored 2 goals as well. I thought the left-hand side looked more fluid on Saturday, not because Martinelli wasn't playing, I just thought it looked better.
Yeah, I agree. I thought Arsenal in general looked better. I thought there was a better tempo to our play. I thought there was better passing. Now, the final third, which we're going to talk about, it still lacked a little bit of intricacy in and around these areas. But I felt in build-up we were great. I felt that they were really good combinations and rotations. Again, we're going to explore this in bigger detail. Now I'm previewing a lot of the show rather than just going into it, but we will get there. I think we've got to start though with the real context of this game, because the 5 league games before Crystal Palace saw Arsenal win just 1 of them with 3 defeats, and there of course a draw as well. But we've got some extra stats. The 94 shots, only 4 goals from those 94. We've managed 5 from 21 in this game against Palace, an XG of 8.9. So something was lacking in front of goal, but it wasn't just putting chances away. There's a whole heap of stats you've sent here that I'm just going to bear with me. I'm just going to have to read through them and try to follow kind of how staggering some of these are in terms of, goals scored in the league. We ranked 7th. For XG, we ranked 6th. Open play stats, 19 goals from open play ranked us 13th going into this game. But we were 4th for chances created. We were 9th for big chances created as well. And, we've got some more here. 113 shots by Arsenal between the Villa game and the Liverpool Cup game, with a 12.4 expected goals in that run, 4 goals scored in that run, 7.1 post goals expected per shot, based on where in the frame those shots were during that run of games. I don't quite understand that stat, but there you go. 1% probability of scoring just 4 goals from those quality of chances. The point we're making is, however much you just sort of delve into all these numbers and all these words I'm saying, Arsenal were really lacking either being clinical with the chance we were creating, or then at other times, like against Fulham, an inability to create chances. So frustration, lots of different ways when it comes to attacking.
Yeah, we've been struggling to create from open play, that's been clear. And we've been struggling to actually score goals from the chances we have been creating. We have been creating some quality chances, but the finishing hasn't been there. And I think my takeaway from this game was that pretty much I came away from this game, as much as I was happy with the win, 5-0, I think those questions are still there. I'll be honest with you, James, because in this game, as you said in those stats there, we had 21 shots at goal, only 6 of them on target. We scored from 4 of them, so you could say we were efficient and clinical, but 21 shots, only 6 on target. And we have been struggling to actually hit the target, I think, over the last few weeks. And obviously that's reflected in the fact that we've only scored 4 goals from all those shots we've had. Also, I think we've been struggling in open play. I think we've generally been struggling in open play. We've been struggling against teams who have been sitting in low blocks. And this is a real challenge for Arteta, which he's talked about in a lot of his press conferences this season. I think there was certainly a slight difference to the way we played. We're going to talk about that today, the way the left-hand side changed in build-up. And there was certain things that he did differently. I thought Ben White in this game was better. Ben White got forward and supported Saka on the outside. I still think we got issues on the left side in number 8, though, to be fair. I know we're going to talk about that. Is there a role for Smith Rowe in the next few games? I thought this game might have suited Smith Rowe, to be honest. And when he came on, I thought I was really impressed with the way he played. One or two lovely half turns and driving forward. He does things that Havertz can't. But overall, I still think there were questions there on Saturday, even though it was a 5-0 victory from the performance.
Yeah, let's talk about the positives, because we did win 5-0. There were many. And we're going to break these down into 3, from set pieces to playing out the back to general shape and rotations. Let's start with set pieces, because you sent through this stat that excluding penalties, Arsenal scored 13 goals in the league, the most of any other team, with Everton on 11, Luton 9, City, Tottenham as well, sharing 9 with Luton. Now, this isn't anything to be scoffed at, in my opinion. This isn't something that we should just brush off, because 2 things can exist. I don't think it needs to be, well, forget the, set piece goals. We need to be better from open play and set pieces, I think set pieces are sometimes seen as like bailouts, as almost like, yeah, but you weren't that good because you only scored from a set piece. And I think it's a grey area. I think context and everything matters. I think with set pieces, though, it's not to be scoffed at, because if I look at the previous set piece league rankings of Man City and Liverpool, the 2 teams, the 2 pace setters in the league for the last 5 years, managed by Klopp and Guardiola, who believe in attacking football and being fantastic on the ball, they have been very good for set pieces, with City and Liverpool ranking last season 5th and 1st for goals from set pieces. And you've got all the other rankings there. Look, 1st and 2nd, 4th and 5th, 1st and 1st. And only City dropping to 10th in the 2018-9 season is any time they actually really go outside the top 5 for being good on set pieces. Now, a lot of that will be because they are an attacking team and they have more chances and they win more corners and set pieces and they score from more. But you've got to be effective from them as well. And so often they're ranking top of those lists because they're making use of those situations as well. You can't always just break down a low block. You've got to be able to do things from other areas. And it's good that Arsenal are in that company again.
I think since Nicolas Jova has come in 2 or 3 years ago, this is where we've massively improved.
Yeah.
And I think, to be fair, I think set pieces are a very important part of football now. And I think, if you can't score from open play, which we're struggling with, you've got to find another way to score your goals. And I think Saturday absolutely illustrated that perfectly, because in that first half, I didn't think we created too much. No. I didn't think their goalkeeper was worked enough. But we scored 2 goals from set plays. I think I've always said that I think set plays are an important part of football. And I think with Big Gabby, we've got somebody who's really good at this. He scored more goals in the Premier League than any defender since he's joined Arsenal. And he was at it again on Saturday.
Yeah, he was. And by the way, it should be 2 goals, not just the 1, because I know that... there's some... the Premier League's independent goal panel or whatever gave it to Dean Henderson as an own goal, which I just think...
You can tell that Arsenal really worked on this, and they did a couple of things differently on Saturday, James. First of all, Declan Rice got his 2nd assist for the club this season.
And what did you make of him taking the corner? Sorry, let's just highlight him here. Because, at 6'2", the temptation is, I want him in there. But
exactly, and that's exactly... I agree with you. That's why I thought we bought him, for him and Havertz to add height to our crosses into the box. But it was interesting that he went out onto that side. I think we've been criticising Arsenal for some of the deliveries into the box over the last few weeks, where somebody like Trossard fails to beat the first man on a regular basis. That was a perfect in-swinging corner. I think they've been working on that on the breakaway in Dubai. And what I thought they did really well, and you're going to show it here on your brilliant recreation, is it's all about getting the blocks in to get the space for Big Gabby to attack And I think Trossard plays a big part in this goal, James.
I totally agree. So what's interesting is we know this ball is going to end up in this area here. I've shown it in yellow. It's difficult to see because of all the players, but that's the area that it's going to go into. Now, the three players that are closest to this area are Trossard, Saliba and Jesus. But they all seem to have jobs that require actually getting Gabriel there and Kai Havertz there into those areas. So it's about moving and shuffling everyone around there. They are decoys. They are just there to do a job, to occupy Palace defenders so that two of our better heading goal threats can make that attack. Now, it's interesting because Saliba himself is very good in the air. Well,
he scored a goal this season from a corner, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's good in the air. He's not very good in the air, actually. I think that's a part of his game that for everything he's elite at. But, you know, he's used as decoy. And then you've got Rice taking the corner. So they've almost just got these players to do a job. And then Gabriel Magalhaes makes a run that he can get ahead on because Richards follows him. But at that point, Trossard and Saliba they've made the space and Havertz comes in. Now, what's interesting about this is they start moving before Rice has even kicked the ball. So you're going to see the movement, follow it all, because I've tried to recreate it absolutely as accurate as possible. They move before Rice has even kicked the ball. So they're moving, and then the ball goes in from Rice. And Gabriel's there, but Havertz is coming in at the back post to attack it as well. So they've got two trying to get on the end of that. But I thought it was very clever because Saliba, Trossard end up really central / near post. And Gabriel, watching it live, I thought that looked easy. And it's because of all the work that went in before.
They clearly worked on blocking people, haven't they? Blocking people off. I think Trossard's role, as I said, is important. Anderson's their biggest defender. And he would have been the one looking to sort of get there. And we blocked him. We stopped him.
Yeah.
And I think from both those goals in the first half came from us blocking players that led to the goals. I think, as you brilliantly recreated there, Gabby's header comes from, I think, primarily from Trossard blocking Anderson.
Yeah, we'll show it one more time. Go on.
If you just follow it through there.
Yeah. Because he, as it's coming in the box there, Trossard is holding off. It's so hard to beat. You could just make out 16, 15. That's Schlupp and Anderson. Schlupp's followed Trossard in, and Anderson can't really move because Trossard is just doing this. It's not a foul. He's holding his ground. Yeah. And Gabriel's got the run on him.
And clearly they've worked on that. Yeah. And then the second goal, which was a corner from Saka from the other side, the key to that again is the blocking of the keeper by Ben White. Ben White is the one then blocking the keeper that enables Gabriel to appear at the back stick to get the header in there. So clearly Arsenal have been working on their set plays. It's very important because we have been struggling to score goals from open play. We're frequently up against team playing low blocks now. And I think set plays are very important. I think we've scored now only 6 goals, I think, before this game in first half of games this season as opposed to 20 in the whole of last season. Yeah. I think getting ahead in the first half is extremely important. And if you can't break a team down from open play, you've got to be able to do it from a set play. Yeah,
I completely agree. And that's the thing, adding different options, different weapons in your armoury. It's having different things. And Arsenal, by the way, who have scored, we've been talking about being really good on set pieces, but make no mistake about it, we actually talked about it forever Arsenal. Arsenal have been quite frustrating recently from set pieces, conceding some against Luton, against Liverpool, whatever, but also not looking like a massive threat from them. I know we scored against Liverpool with one. And we've seen a few different things. We've seen whether it be, I'm just making it up a little bit, but whether it be White at the near post, we've seen the attempted flick on to someone. That hasn't really worked. Rice is taking it now where it used to be maybe a Martinelli or a Trossard instead, but they gave it to Rice, maybe because, I don't know, has he got a slightly more consistent floated cross into the box rather than the whip that they're looking for from Trossard and Martinelli? I don't know. They've also tried things like this. I mean, I've seen Arsenal players stand all the way out here, ready to attack, and they're sort of dragging, in a bid to make room. So they've tried that, where they've then tried to hit an area and all the players sort of come in at once to attack it. So they've tried a few different things, and this was just a new version of our set pieces. You can't be predictable. You've got to have different things in your locker. I think early in the season, I noticed when Gabriel Martinelli was taking some corners, he was literally whipping some in-swingers in right under the goalkeeper. So clearly they identified a goalkeeper there who was maybe struggling. Mm-hmm. They wanted to put him under pressure. So they've got different players now with different techniques. They've got a few different variations on it, which is good because teams are
obviously going to be watching what Arsenal do. So the more sort of like different types of corner you've got and the way you attack them differently, obviously is what you need to do.
Yeah, I completely agree. Now, points 2 and 3 are going to kind of be mixed into one, and it's to do with our playing out the back, which I thought was really good in this game. Although I know we had difference of opinions on how good that first half was. I know Raya did sort of drop one into the middle of the pitch here, which wasn't ideal, but largely I thought that was really good. And I thought our varying shapes were really good as well. And we're just hearing the wind sort of nearly blow down the studio. So hopefully you make it to the end of the video. Hopefully we do
a tactical analysis as the studio drops in.
Yeah, it's, hopefully the show will finish. But I don't know if you've picked up on the mics, but if you did, you're probably wondering what's going on. So we've got the 11s here. Now, I felt that we talked about Palace didn't fully just sit off. And what I found interesting, we have covered it before. I remember doing a tactical insight after the Sevilla game. Arsenal have been building up a little bit with these three here, Raya, Saliba and Gabriel, almost in a line. He's kind of forming part of that build-up shape and really coming into quite advanced areas to get the ball. And we'll talk about Zinchenko and how he's used, in a sec, because his role in this game was really interesting. And by the way, he deserves a shout out for being really good. But I did just feel that Arsenal were, just had different. They just had lots of answers to the build up to the press, whether it be Mateta coming short, Mitchell and Eze were really pressing high up the pitch. Arsenal just played out really effortlessly, in my opinion. And I thought that was great because it invited a pressure and then it had an opportunity to build throughout. I just felt as when we got to the final third we were frustrating, but otherwise I was really happy.
I thought in that first 15, 20 minutes, I didn't think they pressed they pressed high, but I didn't think they pressed with so many players up high as that, James. I thought they had like a 5 at the back.
Yeah.
I think they came to defend Palace. I think that they surprised me. They went with a back 5. I thought they'd have a back 4.
Yeah.
And they had like a mid block. So you had like.
So what are we saying? Mitchell maybe back
here? You had
here.
a mid to high block. So you had 4 across the middle.
Yeah.
Trying to stop the build up. So
like that, yeah.
Yeah. With just the striker as the lone person to press from the front. Because if you look at their passes by defensive action, clearly they weren't pressing as well as that for the whole game. But generally in that first 20 minutes, I thought they had a plan to stop Arsenal building up from the back. Raya, I thought, was very good in that, as you rightly identified, because he almost became like another defender to help with the build-up phase. Yeah. But they had like a mid to high block. So they had 5 across the back to stop us if we went round their press. But generally, they had these 4 players trying to stop us in build-up. So when we went out down the sides, they had like Eze covering that side, and Hughes and Lerma were more at central. But it was like a mid to high block. So we did have a few problems, I thought, early on, breaking that block. You thought we played round it with these. I thought we did, yeah. I thought that first 20 minutes we did struggle a little bit to play around it. That's what I felt. But generally, as the half progressed, I thought we got better. Yeah, no, fair enough. I thought also our solutions to build up were really, really good. And I've been calling so much for Arsenal to show different variations in how the same 11 on the pitch, adopting the same principles, can line up in a different way. And I was really, really pleased to firstly see Zinchenko at his best. He was great. That ball he played in behind to Trossard was absolutely sublime. And when he was sort of getting in field next to Rice, I thought he was the better of the 2 progressors. But what I also really enjoyed seeing was Arsenal at times doing this, which was maybe Gabriel slightly more tucked in, Zinny holding the width, and Trossard getting to more central areas. Now, that maybe took shape in a few different ways. I didn't really see Havertz too much next to Rice, though we've seen that over the season. But I did at times see Rice drifting across, Ødegaard coming into the build-up, and then some width held. And slightly more narrow starting positions for Trossard and Saka. Not always, but just little moments where I thought, that's good. You're asking different questions. And it was nice to see Arsenal throw that up for the opposition as well. Yeah, you're 100% right, because I thought that Ben White was getting forward more in this game to support Bukayo Saka. I thought you're right. I thought Havertz was dropping in almost like deeper, and Zinny was going out wide and Trossard was coming inside, which is what I think we've not been doing this season enough, We've been too slow in the build-up, get it out to Gabby, and then they pushed across and they blocked us off. But in this game, I thought there was definitely more fluidity, more movement, more trying to create little triangles up high, which we haven't been doing this season. So I thought it worked really well. One point I want to make is that we're talking about when you got Havertz in the team. And I think that when we're being pressed, I just don't know sometimes why Arsenal just don't look to build from the second phase. So if we're being pressed high, someone like Saliba can play a ball over the press to Havertz in here when he comes deep, and then we can build from that second phase. We don't do that enough. We try and play it out and play round. So I think Havertz is a bit redundant, you know, in this position. You know, I thought that the main reason that Arteta got him was really to sort of like be able to play over the press, and so we can play from the second phase. We don't seem to do that enough for me. And I thought when they were pressing high in that first half and we were struggling to play out, there was your obvious solution to play out, and then we can build out wide. And I think the different challenges Arsenal got this year, James, just quickly touch on this, is when we played last season, I thought as I was explaining to you when I came up today, we were sort of like, we caught a lot of teams out. We bought Zinchenko to help. He was sort of like inverting into midfield. And Thomas Partey was there as well. He was an elite passer. And we had ball progressors in midfield. And we were able, teams were pressing us high, and we were going round the press comfortably and getting our attacking players at their defences far quicker in transition than what we're doing now. So we've lost that this season. So we're having to come up with different solutions. Yeah. But also last year we were building little combinations and triangles. You know. Yeah. We've stopped doing that this season. But I thought on Saturday, particularly that left-hand side, as you quite rightly said, we did see it coming back again with Trossard, Zinchenko, even Gabriel Jesus was dropping out here to combine. So I thought that it looked more fluid in build-up at least.
I totally agree, and actually I'm glad you mentioned Jesus, because there was one chance, and this is off the cuff, I didn't look at this before recording the show, but there was one chance, do you know where Trossard gets into this area and lashes it over the bar? This was late in the first half, but if I'm not mistaken, I think Havertz is quite wide and Jesus plays the pass, or maybe the other way around. Maybe, but the point is, it was just great to see them mixing it up and moving around, and you know, a little bit of invention, and Trossard's in, and I think it doesn't look a great chance because of how he finished it, but actually it is a good chance, and that was good to see from Arsenal's perspective as well. But let's talk about some of the players that deserve some individual praise, and I think one of them is Gabriel, obviously, for basically scoring 2 goals, 1.5. I think it should be 2.
Was he man of the match?
It's really hard not to give the person that got our first 2 goals and was, you know, totally and utterly untroubled at the back. It's so difficult not to give him man of the match. I think he is, but Zinni was my number 2, you know. Yeah. I thought he was really good, Zinchenko. So those 2 were my top 2.
I think when you're giving your man of the match to a defender in a 5-0 win, doesn't reflect well on the front line, does it? You think the front line would be the ones up for the man of the match, but somebody in the front line. But you are right. I think Gabriel arguably has been Arteta's best ever signing, and I think he's such a disciplined defender. He goes under the radar. I think the fan base obviously love William Saliba, and he gets a lot of the plaudits. But Gabriel, for me, he's been Mr. Consistent since he's been an Arsenal shirt, and added to the fact he scores goals, 12 goals now for Arsenal. In the Premier League in 3 years. He's a phenomenal return for a centre-back. Yeah. And I thought, as much as it irks me that a defender gets man of the match in a 5-0, I thought he was superb again. And the way he marshalled their forward in the tussles, I thought was brilliant as well.
Yeah, I thought he was outstanding. Let's go through his numbers. 88% pass accuracy with 69 touches, 5 out of 7 aerial duels won, 5 clearances, 3 out of 5 ground duels won, and I've put 1 in brackets 2 goals, because if he's not protesting that Harry Kane style, was it Harry Kane who protested? He said a goal wasn't given, but it did actually, you know, and whatever. Protest it, Gabby. That's quickly, your goal.
One guy messaged me, James. He said, "You're not doing enough Spurs gags on the show this season."
That's true, but that's because they're quite good.
Well, no, I won't go that far. But what I would say is, me and my son have booked up to go and see Bayern Munich next month. Yeah. And I'm getting a bit worried because, I mean, Harry Kane's turning them into Spurs, isn't he? I mean, you've got Eric Dyer going there. They've been linked with Kieran Trippier. Yeah. And all of a sudden they become Spursy this weekend, lost at home 1-0.
Lloris is looking for a club.
So there.
Fair enough. Another player that, you know, I've mentioned him, Zinchenko was second for me. And I've just got some of his numbers, 79 successful passes. Actually, this is a great start from Mark's StatSpot. Go follow, you got the app there on the screen. But also I really like the graphic. It just shows you that he was at the higher end for so many of these things, from passes attempted to completed, to expected threat, to progression via passes and carries, to ball wins as well. There was just a lot to really like about Zinchenko's performance. I thought he was really, really good. Someone on Twitter, I can't remember who, so I'm not really well, they said he's like perfect for 80% of your Premier League games. And I totally agree. Like, for 80% of games, he's exactly what we need. But there are times where his shortcomings might be an issue. Okay, great. That's why you have Tomiyasu. That's why you have a Timber. It's not our fault they've been injured most of the season. No. So
he's brilliant in a game like this where you need somebody, team sitting with 5 at the back, somebody to sort of like invert into midfield and to create. And he's brilliant in a game like this.
Agreed. I'm going to give a shout out to 3 more players. David Raya, we've mentioned, I thought his distribution was great. First half, the composure to play at the back. Second half, though, the throw to Jesus for that 3rd goal seems easy. And look, it is. He's got a lot of space to hit. I expect him to get that right, but nailed it. Jesus doesn't break stride and he plays into Trossard with 3-0 up. And then before that, he played a great pass, long pass to Havertz, was in like this area of the pitch. Lovely touch from Havertz, but I didn't think he did much in that game. But his touch to sort of take that under control and create a move for us was really good there, Kai Havertz. But Raya was great.
There was 10 seconds, James, between Raya throwing the ball out and Trossard putting it in the back of the net. That was our first open play goal since December the 17th when Havertz scored against Brighton. I want to see more of that from Arsenal.
Yeah.
Quick thinking, quick distribution. Ramsdale did it the other week against Liverpool and nearly put Nelson to score. And it is dependent, I think, on game state. That's why it's so important to get ahead in games. When you're ahead in games and teams have got to come out and chase a goal, then you get these opportunities where you can play on transition. And we got the perfect team for transition. Martinelli's pace, coming off the subs bench that last half hour, was absolutely pivotal. And in the end, I think 2 late goals for him. 2 goals in 102 seconds.
Well, Martinelli was going to be my second shout out because, you know, you come on, you're going against a tired defence, do exactly that. Take your chances, run in behind, look difficult to play against, look an absolute nightmare and fight for your place in the next 11. Or forever Arsenal, we were asked what we do for the Forest game, 11-wise. Might be controversial, might be unpopular. I would move Trossard into the false 9 and get Martinelli back in the team and pull Jesus out for a game. He's had a lot of injuries this season. I think we can manage his minutes.
I slightly differ. I had a chat with Robbie on Saturday. Robbie made a great point, actually. Maybe at the moment he could be like a useful impact player. No, he's too good to be an impact player, you could argue. And when you put him in positions closer to goal, you see how good he is. We put him in twice on Saturday into positions where he was close to goal and it was elite finishing, great finishing, almost Henry-esque, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The way he put those goals away. There's an argument, you know, and I know some people are going to criticise me for saying this, that is he better the last half hour of a game when defences are tired? He comes off the bench, he was good against Liverpool in that last half hour. Now, I'm not saying drop him because when you've got a squad, you don't drop players. Look, Man City do, you just rotate players. But there's an argument at the moment, his skill set is almost like with the pace he's got, ideal for when teams are chasing a goal or we need something in transition. He's good at that. So that's something to be considered. I'm not saying he won't force his way back in the team, and I think you are right. There is an argument for using him out wide in certain games and moving Trossard down the middle. But I just think that's a debate that I would like to have in the chat today. Do people think that he is better as an impact player, or do they think he should come straight back into the team?
Let us know in the comment section below. I don't think he's going to like being the impact player, but horses for courses, different games, different needs.
Yeah.
Maybe Trossard suits some games, maybe Martinelli suits others.
It's a good problem for Arteta to have.
It's what we want. It's what we want. And the final player, Jorginho, I thought he came on was just...
What a cameo.
He was just... Sorry for swearing. He's just fucking
You love
brilliant,
Jorginho, don't you?
Do you know what? I don't.
That's that's the Italian in you, isn't it?
Well, I said on the watch along the Turkish said Italian tax, which I thought was a bit unfair. So my feelings on Jorginho are really interesting because at Chelsea, I was never blown away. Even when they were irritatingly good and like won the Champions League and everything, I was never that impressed by Jorginho at all. I thought, yeah, steady player, plays some, clearly a very good passer of the ball, but too many shortcomings in his game. And then we signed him and I thought, well, Arteta's always wanted him. Pep Guardiola wanted him. I have to believe there's something that I'm missing. And I've seen that in these last 12 months. People might say, James, you're Italian. Didn't you see that at the Euros when they won? Yeah, I did think he was very good for it at the Euros, but then I'm always thinking slower tempo, international football, is that fair? Playing with Locatelli in there as well. What I've seen of him at Arsenal, whether it be with Xhaka, with Rice, with Smith Rowe and Odegaard at the end of this game, he is just a player that when you need to get control of that football, my word, can he? And not just in a, I'm going to pass and move, keep it really boring. I mean, my word, he does that really well. But some of the passes, in behind to Saka, in behind to White, you know, the 1-2s, always available, picking it off the centre-backs, you know, almost teasing a Palace press, but then they can't because he just gets it and he moves. And then he plays the ball over the top into Martinelli as well. Yeah. I just thought it was a fantastic cameo. Our best midfield for me is moving Rice there and getting Jorginho in that heart of the pitch. But conversation for another day.
I think that it does add balance. I think we are crying out in this team. I think with Partey not there, we've lost our two main ball progressors this year. That's Partey and Xhaka. We have to say that. Rice's best work for me is off the ball. Right? And I still say that, although he's been very, very good.
Or as a bulldozing runner.
Right. I think we need somebody who's very good with short and long passes in the number 6 position. That gives you the perfect balance of defensive midfielder Rice, attacking midfielder Odegaard, and a good passer, Jorginho and Partey, in that number 6 position. And I'll just quickly read out some numbers, just quickly for his performance. 29 pass attempts, 89.7 completion rate, 5 final third entries. He was first in Arsenal. 9 progressive passes, first in Arsenal. 3 deep completions, 1 key pass, 1 shot, 4 ball recoveries, 2 tackles and 1 block shot in 20 odd minutes. I mean, it was an absolutely outstanding performance.
It was an outstanding performance. Now, I'm going to invite you to go find the roundup stats. While you do that, we'll remind you all to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Get in the comment section. Let us know what you do for the next 11. Let us know what you think of that great question that Graham just asked. Is Martinelli more of an impact player than maybe an out-and-out starter, at least for now? Is it about balance? Let us know in the comment section below as well. And of course, check out all the other content that's coming out on AFTV after this game and looking ahead to Forest next week. Go for it, Graham.
Right, the closing stats for this week, James. This was Arsenal's biggest win in a league derby since April 1998. They won 5-0 against a team no longer in the Football League. Who's that? London team.
Charlton.
No, Wimbledon. Charlton's still in the league, aren't they?
Oh, sorry. I was thinking Premier League.
Well, there were just 102 seconds between Gabriel Martinelli's 2 goals, with the Brazilian becoming the first Arsenal player to score twice after 90-plus minutes in a Premier League game. Leo Trossard's goal was Arsenal's first from open play since December the 17th, when Kai Havertz scored v Brighton. There were just 10 seconds, as I said, between Raya launching the attacking transition to Trossard's shot hitting the back of the net. There are now 16 goal contributions. That's 10 goals and 6 assists from substitutes for Arsenal in the Premier League season.
Nice.
That's more than any other team in the league. Mikel Arteta won his 50th home Premier League game in charge of the club v Palace on Saturday. This comes nearly 2.5 years on from his 50th win in the Premier League, which also came against the same opponents, Crystal Palace. And finally, James, as we've mentioned, Gabriel Magalhaes scored his 12th goal for Arsenal in his 115th appearance for the club since he joined Arsenal in 2020. No defender in the top flight has scored more. I think he's very underrated, and in my opinion, arguably, at the moment, I would say he's Arteta's best signing.
I think that there's a very good argument for that. Let us know in the comment section your thoughts on that as well. Graham, fantastic to have you back. Everyone go download the AFTV Plus app so you're kept up to date with everything going on at AFTV. It's your chance as well to join us on Fan Zone, free to do on iOS devices, Android devices, whatever it might be. Download the AFTV Plus app and have your say on Fan Zone. If you're watching this, there is a Fan Zone later today. That's on the Monday night. If you're watching this later after that, go back and check that out as well. See what the fans have to say after a great win against Crystal Palace. There is a little bit of a break now. We've just had one, I know, till we play Forest, but looking forward to that as well. We'll be previewing that throughout the week and talking all things Arsenal, keeping up to date with what hopefully is going to be a slight picking up of the transfer window. Big thanks, everyone. Catch you soon.